Hello students, I am your English mentor and today I have come to you with a very interesting poetry and it's called The Mountain and the Squirrel. So herein we are going to learn a lot about what happened between the two. A mountain is such a giant natural creature and also a squirrel is a small animal. So what happens between the two? But before we start off, let's help the squirrels find their food. Each squirrel buried their food under a different tree. Trace the paths to help them find which tree is theirs. So, there are three squirrels right here and you have to trace the path for them so that they can find their food. And it's going to be a fun exercise for you. And now, let's begin with the poetry. Yes, so the mountain and the squirrel had a quarrel. Quarrel means a fight. So there was a time when squirrel and mountain, both of them had a fight. And the former called the latter little prig. So former is the one who comes first and latter is the one who comes later. So the former said to the latter, little prig. Who is prig? Prig is someone who is slightly inferior. And when you make the other person feel superior or inferior, it does affect them. So Bun replied, you are doubtless very big. Doubtless means without a doubt. So the squirrel replied to the mountain that you are without a doubt very big. But all sorts of things and weather must be taken in together. But there are all sorts of things and weather that should be taken together. This means that you are big in size, but when we compare two things, we should take care of all the measures and particulars. So, to make up a ear and a sphere, it means that it takes entire time and space to make something. So, and I think it no disgrace. Disgrace means shame to occupy my place. So, out of all the things in the world, everything is unique in itself and I have no shame in taking the place I have. So, if I am not so large as you, you are not so small as I, and not half so spry. This means that the squirrel says, I am not as large as you are, and you are not as small as I am. But I am highly active, and you are not even half active of what I am. I keep running all day long to collect food. So, I'll not deny you make a very pretty squirrel track. So, the bun or the squirrel said that I am not going to deny the fact that you make a very pretty squirrel track. So, talents differ. All is well and wisely put. If I cannot carry forest on my back, neither you can crack a nut. So, the squirrel towards the end says that talents of different people differ. Even in nature, everything is blessed with something or the other. So talents always differ and all is well and wisely put. So God has put and aligned everything perfectly. And after that, the squirrel says that if I cannot carry forest on my back, then even you can't crack a nut. So we are both insufficient in doing something and we are both powerful and efficient in doing the other things. So the moral of this particular poetry is that all of us are unique and different in our ways in lives. We should not be comparing everyone on the same ground because this is going to make them feel talentless, and every person is blessed with their own capabilities. It is also said that if you judge a fish by its talent to climb a tree, then you will always feel that the fish is not capable of doing anything. Why? Because a fish masters in swimming. So we should always try and find the best potential in a person and not look for what are the deficiencies in them. So now that you have understood this poetry very well, we are going to attempt a few questions related to this chapter together. First up, we have the comprehension. So herein we will take the correct option. So how many times does the mountain speak in the poem? While the fight or the quarrel was happening, how many times did the mountain say? Once, twice, or thrice? So as you can see that the mountain said for only once. And after that, everything else was said by the squirrel. Next up we have that how does the squirrel defend itself against the big mountain? It says it's more like lively and more energetic, or both. So the squirrel said both the things, that I am more lively and energetic than you are. So option C is the right part. And then, and I think it no disgrace to occupy my place. These lines tell us that there is nothing that cannot be achieved without hard work. Everything in the world has its own value. There is no shame in admitting that we are inferior to someone. So, what the squirrel meant to say was that everything in this world has its own place. So, the squirrel makes its case by trying not to be offensive to mountain. Which of these lines from the poem is an example of this type of nature of the squirrel? And I think it no disgrace to occupy my place. You are not so small as I, and not half so spry. So I'll not deny you make a very pretty squirrel track. So the question is asking us that in which line it gets reflected that the squirrel was not trying to hurt the mountain and it was just explaining its point. So this is being highlighted in the first line, because I'll not deny you make shows that the squirrel is also respecting the kind of talent that mountain has and the squirrel doesn't. So in the entire poetry, the squirrel didn't want to hurt the feelings or make mountain feel slightly inferior to itself. And now you are going to attempt these descriptive questions in your notebook. Now let's move on. So we have a word building exercise here, and you have to find 12 animal sound from the word grid. This is a word grid given here, and you have to find the sounds of animals from this grid, and it's going to be another fun activity for you. Now moving on, you are going to write down a rhyming word for each from the poem. Now these are the words which are given, and you have to find a rhyming word from the poetry. But what are rhyming words? Rhyming words are the words which sound same to the words given. So squirrel and quarrel, they both rhyme. Then we have prig and big, weather and together. Then we have disgrace and place, track and back. And this is how we were able to find all the rhyming words from the poetry. Now you are going to attempt this let's write and a life skill activity. Moving ahead, we will see this fun time activity that you are going to do by yourself and with your friends. And last but not the least, here comes another fun activity for you wherein you can drop a leaf and make your own designs on canvas. So with this, I'll take my leave. I hope you understood the moral and the lesson, or even the central theme of this poetry, wherein the poet wanted to share the message that everything has or everything and everyone has different talent, and we should not be judging one person by the talent of everyone. So every person is unique and we should respect and welcome their talents. With this, I'll take my leave and I wish you all the best and have a great day ahead. Bye bye.